What's up, champs? In this video, I'm gonna show you a simple process to track and count your macros for fat loss. Now listen, once you get these tools down pat, you will be able to reshape your body. No matter if you wanna drop body fat, get rid of your belly fat, or even if you wanna build up some muscle mass. And the reason why is simple. Listen, nutrition is 80% of the game. It all comes down to your nutrition. And macros is one of the most important building blocks of being able to dial in your nutrition, understanding your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. That way you can get the results you want. With that said, before we dive in, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I've been growing my platform over on Facebook and Instagram. I got over 30,000 people on Instagram, and now it's time for me to grow this YouTube channel, baby. And so be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's get to the action. Number one, figure out your daily calorie intake. Listen guys, it really is that simple. I don't care if you want to drop body fat or build muscle. If you want to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit, which means you need to be eating less than what's required for you to maintain your weight. If you want to build up muscle, you want to gain weight, you have to eat more than what's required for you to maintain your current weight. And so that's it. It doesn't matter how you train. It doesn't matter if you're training all day, 2 times a day, every single day of the week. If you don't get this part right, you won't be able to reshape your body and get the results you want. That's how important understanding how much you need to eat on a daily basis is. So that's it. I'm gonna give you a simple process on how I do this, because there's a lot of different ways you can figure out your daily calorie intake to start dropping body fat. You can go on the internet and look at different BMR calculators and total daily energy expenditure calculators and try to, Frankenstein your daily calorie intake together, which can kind of get confusing. Then you have MyFitnessPal app. They'll give you an estimate on what your calories need to be on a daily basis based on your activity level, your height, your weight, your age, all those different things. And all these ways work, okay? You want to figure out the one that's going to work the best for you, but the one that I found that works the best for me and my coaching clients is a simple process where you multiply your current body weight times 9, 10, 11, or 12. It just depends on how aggressive you want to drop body fat. Like I said, this video is mainly for fat loss. I'm going to give you the other side of it if you want to build muscle as well. But for fat loss, if you want to drop it aggressively, you're going to multiply your current body weight by 9 or 10, okay? And let's say you want to drop weight a little bit more conservatively, you're going to multiply your current body weight times 11 or 12. And so anywhere in between there is a good starting point. Now what's most important is this: understanding after a good 1 to 2 weeks of being consistent, hitting these certain amount of calorie goals on a daily basis, because we're gonna get to the macros in just a second, but we gotta know the overall daily amount of calories first. Once we're consistent with eating that amount of calories for a good 1 to 2 weeks, if we're not seeing the results, because this does happen now, if you're not seeing the results and you know you're being consistent, you've been tracking your calories, you've been tracking your macros, all we're gonna do is something really simple. We're gonna reduce the amount of calories that we're eating. So for an example, let's say you do the math. You multiply your current body weight times 10 and you get 2,000 calories. And you do that, you consume 2,000 calories on a daily basis for 2 weeks. And you notice that you're really not seeing the weight come off on the scale. You notice when you step in the mirror and in the bathroom, you're not really seeing any definition in your body. What we're gonna do is reduce it, like slightly reduce the amount of calories you're consuming. And so instead of consuming 2,000 calories on a daily basis, we're gonna drop it down to 1,850. And so we're just gonna reduce the daily amount of calories by 150 calories. Nothing significant, okay? We want slight and small gradual adjustments. And so that way you're not like some people, they cut back even more. They start starving themselves because they don't see the weight coming off. And so they'll cut back their calories by 500 calories, 1,000 calories. And then they find themselves so hungry to the point where they feel like they're suffering. And when you feel like you're suffering, trying to get healthy, it just doesn't add up. It's like, hold up, I'm supposed to be getting healthy. I'm supposed to be feeling better as I'm getting the results, but I feel worse. And that's one of the reasons why some guys, they severely restrict the amount of calories that they're consuming. and they start feeling like they're starving, and we only have so much willpower, guys. Even myself, like if I'm starving, I'm probably not gonna be on that diet too long. And so you wanna figure out how many calories you need to consume on a daily basis. So do the math on that. With that equation, multiply your current body weight times 9, 10, 11, or 12, just based on how aggressively you wanna drop body fat. And then if you want to gain mass, you're gonna multiply your current body weight times 14, 15, or 16, okay? Just depending on how aggressively you want to build mass. But also know this, if you're that person that wants to build mass, I always tell guys to err on the side of not going so aggressive. And the reason why is because if we're consuming too much, what can happen is we can get that bulky fat look. Yeah, that was one of the big things I used to struggle with. Like I was never fat, but I just had this fluffy look. I wasn't as defined as your boy Jay Jackson is now. Like now I got my dream body. I had the body I always wanted back when I was like 17, 18 years old. But one of the things I used to do is I would eat too much. I would consume too many calories on a daily basis. And I'd find myself working out all the time, but still not liking the way I looked. I still didn't have that definition that I wanted. And so for other people, they might be like, yo, Jay, why you still working out? You look good. We all have understanding on what our potential should be. Everybody, okay? And so I have clients out there, they're like, man, I want to drop a little bit more weight, but my wife and my husband is saying, well, you look good the way you are. What you want to do is go be the best for you. You want to do what's going to make you happy, not somebody else. That's what life is about, because when we are our best selves, we can give our best selves to the people who we love and care about. And that's what I'm in the game for. So with that being said, that's number one, figure out your daily calorie intake. Once you get that nailed down, this is by far the number one most important part. If you get this part wrong, the macros and everything that I'm getting ready to get into in the next part of the video, it won't mean a damn thing. And so you gotta nail down this part first. Number two, you must make protein a priority on a daily and weekly basis. Now listen, we've nailed down the daily calorie amount. You got that part nailed down. The second most important part of this equation is not carbs, is not fats. We're gonna get to that too, but it's our daily protein intake. And it's for a couple of reasons. Number one, a lot of guys like myself, I used to think that protein was all about just building muscle mass, which it's important, but if you're not eating the right amount of calories on a daily basis, it's gonna be really hard to still build muscle. But now that we have the calories down pat, now we have to eat a certain amount of protein on a daily basis. You have some coaches out there telling you you need to be eating tons and tons of protein. And I used to be one of those guys who would listen to all these different trainers and coaches back when I was, in my earlier days, just getting started. And I found myself drinking and eating so much protein, I was constipated. And so, I was like, man, I thought I was supposed to be eating and drinking all this protein. But in reality, there is a range of protein you should be eating. And so here's what I mean by that. Just like earlier when I was sharing with you, how aggressively you want to drop body fat as far as calories, multiplying your body weight times 9, 10, 11, or 12, same thing when it comes to protein. The reason why is because everyone's lifestyle is a little bit different. And some days we're gonna be a little bit more active than other days, which is totally fine. And so we wanna make sure that our nutrition, our protein, our calorie intake, it aligns with our lifestyle. It aligns with our appetite and things like that. And so the range is 0.8 to 1.2 times our current body weight. 0.8 up to 1.2. And so let's say, for example, you want to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's totally fine. And so if I'm 200 pounds, I'm going to be eating 200 grams of protein on a daily basis. But if I'm going to multiply my current body weight times 0.8, I'm going to be eating a little bit less than 200 grams of protein on a daily basis. I'll let you do the math. But that's my point. And some people, they may not want to eat a ton of protein. And so you don't have to eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight or 1.2 times your current body weight. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can multiply your current body weight times 0.8 and get a lower amount of protein, but still be able to get the results you want. And so there's a couple of reasons this is so helpful and beneficial to being able to accomplish your goals. Number one, eating enough protein is going to help us build muscle, but it's also going to help us recover a lot more quicker after our workouts. And so if you're noticing you're working out and you're like, man, it's just hard for me to recover, I'm always sore every single time, you might not be eating enough protein or consuming enough protein on a daily basis. The second thing is this: if you're not feeling satisfied after your meals, you know, it might be because you're not eating enough protein during your meals. You might need to bump up the amount of protein that you're consuming, and so that way you can feel a lot more satiated and full, and it sustains you longer throughout the day. Because if you're just eating a lot of carbs and fats, you might find yourself getting hungry a lot quicker, because our body it takes our body longer to digest and process protein than it does carbs and fats. Protein is it's a more higher thermogenic food, and so it just takes longer for our body to burn it and, you know, break it down. And so with that being said, this is by far the second biggest part when it comes to being able to drop body fat, build muscle, and then just overall health. So we got your calories down pat, we got your daily protein down pat. And write this stuff down, guys, write it down. And you might need to go back and refer to this video again, watch it over. And now we're getting ready to go into, you know, the carbs and the fats, and I'm gonna give you some macro splits and percentages. And so that way you have a good foundation to go off of. Because I know a lot of times, whenever I'm starting something, I like to have some type of foundation or template to go off of. And then after a while, once I have that confidence, I can more so just kind of do my own thing, but still within, you know, understanding the context of what I'm trying to get done. And number 3, adjust your carb and fat intake based on your goals and preferences. Man, I remember just searching high and low on the internet to understand macros. And man, I'd see so many conflicting articles and videos, and I was confused and overwhelmed. But what I'm getting ready to give you right now is by far the most effective process that I've found to being able to drop body fat, get lean and cut, and also be healthy and build muscle, just depending on what your goal is. And so with that being said, the foundation, like I was just referring to in the last tip, is you want to have some type of foundation to build and grow on. And so the one that I like to use as far as the macro split is a 40% protein, 30% fat, and 30% carbs. That's a foundation of where we start at, okay? But now, the thing about dropping body fat, building muscle, nutrition, and working out, it's really a self-awareness game, okay? It's a game of self-awareness. And the reason I say it is because we have to understand what our body responds to the best. And we make adjustments on the fly as we see the changes that our body makes. And even, let's say, for example, the preferences that we prefer. So here's what I mean. Let's say, for example, we start with this 40% protein, 30% fat, 30% carbs. But myself, I don't care to eat a ton of carbs on a daily basis. Now on the weekends, your boy might kick back, eat some tacos, eat some burgers, maybe a pancake or something like that, or maybe some pizza. But throughout the week, because I'm working a lot, I don't want to eat those foods because they tend to kind of make me want to go to sleep, or I might have some brain fog. And so I want to be the most efficient, the most mentally sharp throughout the week. And so I won't have extremely high carb meals. And so during the weekdays, I have more of like a 40% protein, 20% carbs, and then I'll have a higher percentage of fats. And so I may have, it may be more like this. It may be like 45% protein, 20% carbs, and then 35% of fats. So I'll bump my fats up just a little bit, and I'll bump my protein up a little bit because I've dropped my carb intake. That makes sense? And so you can do the same thing, but we have our foundation. We started at the 40, 30, 30. And so let's say for somebody else who may be really active, let's say you love running a lot more, you love doing a lot of cardio, which that's totally fine. And you're somebody who says, man, I'd rather eat a little bit more carbs, you know, and I can cut back on my fats. And so you could do, let's say you drop your fats back to 20% instead of keeping it at 30, and you bump up your carb intake to 40. And so now you have a 40, 40, 20. You see what I'm saying? So you got 40% protein, 40% carbs, and 20% fats. That's totally fine. But my biggest thing that I want to get across to you guys is you got to have a foundation to build on and grow from. And so we have the daily amount of calories on a daily basis, right? We nailed that down. 40% of it's going to be protein. The other 30 is going to be fats. The other 30 is going to be carbs. And we understand what our protein is going to be. 40% of the overall daily amount of calories. And then from there, after about a week or two, we look at the progress that we've made. If you're making progress and you're enjoying the process, you like the type of foods that you're eating, you like the amount of food that you're eating as far as proteins, carbs, and fats, dog, stick with it. There's no reason to change it. But let's say, for example, you get 2 weeks in and you're seeing some results, but you say to yourself, I really don't care to eat all these carbs all the time. You can cut back on your carbs and increase your protein if you want to eat more protein, or you can increase your fats if you want to eat more fats. And so there's really no right or wrong. The biggest thing is knowing what's going to work the best for you. You have a lot of people out here, I see a lot of people out here who they jump from diet plan to diet plan, nutrition plan and program, and all these weight loss programs out here. But the biggest thing is this. You have the keto diet, the fasting diet, and the Atkins, the carnivore diet. All of it can work, but the reason that it works is because they follow the fundamentals. They may have different macro splits. You know, when you look at keto, they have a really high percentage of fats, right? But the protein and carb intake is super low. But then you have other diets like the carnivore diet, where it's pretty much super high protein and some fats and very, very low carbs, if any. And so it doesn't matter which one you do. The biggest thing is if you're dropping weight doing one of those diets, the reason why you're dropping is because you're still in a calorie deficit no matter the macro splits and percentages. And so my biggest thing is, if you're gonna do it, you wanna do something that you can sustain, something that you actually enjoy. Because if you're just kind of doing it, but you really don't like the process, you really don't like eating that many carbs or fats or proteins, eventually you're gonna stop doing it and you're gonna find yourself gaining the weight back or losing your results. And so the biggest part is knowing what works the best for you, but starting from a foundation that you grow on. So with that being said, the big takeaways is this. Nail down your daily calorie intake first. That's by far the most important part. I don't care if you want to lose body fat, build muscle, get rid of the gut, just get overall healthy. We gotta be eating a certain amount of calories to hit that goal. Number 2, nail down that protein intake. And so that way you're able to recover from your workouts, you feel more full and satisfied after your meals. Then also you can actually build some lean quality muscle. And then lastly, just understand this is a game of self-awareness. This is a game of once you start something, after about 2 to 3 weeks, you want to be testing things, okay? You want to say, okay, well, this is working for me. Do I want to change anything? And if not, keep it going. But if you do want to change something, that's totally fine, but just make slight gradual adjustments. And don't change too many things all at one time. What I mean by that is, if you're going to adjust your meal plan, don't change your workout plan any. If you're gonna adjust your workout plan, don't change your meal plan any. Because what'll happen is, once we start touching too many things at one time, we won't really know what's helping us get the results. Same thing goes with the foods that we're eating. I'm a huge advocate of telling people, pick your top 3 proteins, carbs, and fats that you're gonna eat on a daily and weekly basis. This is in my book, Gut to Abs, on Amazon.com, because it's all about simplifying the process. If you live a busy lifestyle and you don't have a whole lot of time to, be thinking about foods and what you're gonna eat and what meals you can pick and choose from, you gotta be able to say, okay, what are my top proteins? I know for me, I'm eating salmon, chicken, and sirloin beef. It's a lean cut of beef, right? And then for my vegetables, I'm doing shaved Brussels sprouts. I'm doing asparagus. I'm doing spinach. Those are my vegetables. And then my carbs, I'm gonna do some jasmine rice or some basmati rice or some sweet potatoes. And so you see how I'm able to just, roll that off my tongue, because I know the things that I tend to eat on a daily and weekly basis. And yours may be different, which is totally fine. We're not the same person. You want to do what's going to work the best for you. And so once you get this stuff down pat and dialed in, you'll be able to reshape your body in no time. And the thing I love about this, once you understand this about nutrition, you literally hold the keys and have the tools to being able to drop body fat almost at will. In months, if not weeks, you'll be able to start seeing results just understanding this process. And the same goes for if you want to build up muscle. You'll be able to get the same type of results just by understanding your nutrition, because 80% of it is nutrition. 80% of getting the results you want is nutrition. And so with that being said, hope you found the video helpful. This may be one that you might want to refer back to just understand a little bit more and take notes, get a sheet of paper, get a pen, and so you can write this stuff down. But by far, I just gave you a college level of education on macros and nutrition in like 10-15 minutes. So hopefully you found it helpful. If you did, be sure to like the video, comment down below any other topics that you'd like to hear me talk about, and then be sure to subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, guys, we out of here, champs. Let's get to the action.